Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I am Shafiu Suleiman. Today marks the deadline for the submission of names of candidates and their running mates to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. It is also the eve of the 2022 governorship election in Osun State. Today on the program, we'll be examining INEC's preparedness for the off-season election, lessons learned from the Ekiti governorship election conducted weeks ago, and how the two elections will affect the general election in 2023. We will also be looking at other pressing issues in the polity. In the studio, we have Barrister Sanusi Musa, a legal practitioner and a political commentator. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Also joining us for the discussions via Zoom is Mr. Ezenwa Nwagu, who is a board member of the Yaga Africa. He's joining us all the way from Osun State. Welcome, Mr. Ezenwa.
Thank you and good evening.
All right. Okay, before we commence the discussions proper, we'll take a short break. Stay with us. Okay, thank you very much for staying with us. It's still Daily Politics, and today we're looking at issues around the polity, especially issues regarding the Osun governorship election. The deadline for the submission of candidates' names to INEC and their running mates, among other issues in the polity. So let's go straight to Mr. Ezenwa Nwagu, who is right now in Osun State. Perhaps maybe we'll commence with the preparations for the Osun 2022 governorship election. Mr. Ezenwa, you are on ground right now in Osun State, and perhaps you must have witnessed, the political atmosphere and how it is getting charged. Yesterday there was, the grand finale of the campaign of the APC, where issues were raised. The statement made by the presidential candidate of the APC is still reverberating. Issues around mushroom political parties, and of course people laboring to death or something like that. It has been generating a lot of reaction. What is the general mood in Osun State with regards to the preparation ahead of Saturday?
Well, thank you very much for having me.
We're having some issues with the audio, but I think we can get it right in the process. Just go ahead.
So if you can hear me now,
Go ahead.
We are interested in the process. Independent National Electoral Commission 2 days ago held the stakeholders meeting where the political parties were told INEC's preparation and expectation. And then today, the political parties, 15 of them, came to sign the peace accord. Campaigns are ongoing. The speech and such other issues generally that INEC will have to pay attention to. But for some of us, we're interested in seeing to ensure that there are peaceful, credible, fair election. And INEC is saying that it is prepared, that the sensitive materials are already in the states, and that in due course they will be dispatched to the centers event where they will get to the polling units.
Okay.
So the Inspector General of Police was also at that stakeholders meeting informed that 21,000 policemen will be deployed for the Osun election. Of course, you know that NCDC and the rest of the people in the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security will also be part. Osun prides itself as the most peaceful state in where it's not as charged as you are saying. There are pockets of stars and billboards of some people. We have had conversations around the activities of cult groups and the rest. But all in all, both the traditional institutions, they are bringing authority to action on Saturday.
Right. Okay. You talked about the atmosphere, especially with regards to the need to maintain the peace. The peace accord signed by the 15 political parties is coming at a time there is also concerns around some level of violence that is erupting. We've seen how there were reports indicating that some of the candidates were attacked. I think that of Labour and the other political party, one's house was raised along the line. You talk about the activities of cult groups, and this is a very volatile state. Looking at the level of the contest now, especially among the two leading parties. How do you think this going to the Saturday election? How do you think this would define, how the election is going to be conducted?
Supporting the Independent National Electoral Commission and the security agencies. The DIG operation is leading the charge. We may witness voter inducement and all of those things, but I can tell you that most here are not, they don't represent the reality of what's around here. There are cool issues, but they are not a volatile state, because the people of the states are ready for elections, and that will be peaceful. We think that the times leading to the election may be a bit tensed, but at the end is one people, and that Osun is greater than all of them, and they are committed to ensuring that there will be peaceful elections.
Yeah, talking about one of the major concerns, we've seen how it featured prominently in the last election, that is the Ekiti governorship election, the issue of voter inducement. In the build-up to this election, there has been a lot of concerns with regards to how many politics would take center stage, especially looking at the contenders and their deep pockets. Their especially also their comments with regards to how they intend to deploy resources to buy the conscience of the people. How are the people responding to this? You are civil society organizations. I'm sure you must have been going around perhaps also to educate the voters with regards to the importance of their franchise. How are they responding to, some of these calls and advocacy vis-a-vis the challenge posed by money politics? Okay, well, we get Mr. Nwogu to respond to that question. Let's talk to Barrister Sunusi Musa, political affairs analyst. You've had some of the, you had the conversation with Dr. Ezenwa, who has been talking to us concerning the build-up to the Saturday governorship election in Osun State. If you look at, what happened in Ekiti governorship election that was conducted a few weeks ago, and the expectations, towards the Osun governorship election, vis-a-vis the lessons learned. What's your general, overview or assessment of the preparation so far?
The preparation for the INEC or
the preparation for the election now?
You see, if you look at it, INEC has been improving its the way it conducts election progressively from 1999 to date. If you see that every year you get improvement on, I think with the exception of 2007 election, which was really something that nobody wants to remember. I think progressively INEC is getting it right, and rigging is becoming more difficult to do, and so you see that when the umpire is appeared to be fair to everybody, you see that the level of disappointment normally goes down, and I think the parties are doing their best also to see that they win the heart of the people on the day of the election.
But we're getting to see, in as much as rigging is becoming difficult as a result of the transformation in the electoral process, especially driven by technology.
Yeah.
But then one of the two critical concerns to INEC and other stakeholders is, of course, the issue of vote buying. Voter inducement, involvement of money in politics and what have you. And then they're also concerned about the last election in Ekiti. There's also substantial reduction in the number of people that participated. Some sort of voter apathy was witnessed.
Yeah.
So looking at the Osun governorship election coming almost at the same time, do we anticipate, even though clearly some would say the issue of money will certainly feature in the Osun election. But do you see also the voter apathy replicating in Osun?
Well, actually, on the issue of money, I think we are progressing in the sense that before, apart from the inducement with money, then we also have the rigging that was going on. Then we are now coming to a situation where, let's say, we have succeeded in halting the rigging process, which is, we say we are getting it right. Then progressively, as this economic improves and people get more interested in participating in the process, that one too will be checked. Yeah, but this I think a gradual process which people must be patient enough to see that we cannot just change the society in a day. With regard to voter apathy, I can't say because I'm not from Osun, so I think it's people that are there like Mr. Ezenwa, who is on the ground, I may likely say that because this I think that you must have the pulse, to know what may likely. But I think if the trend of the number of people that we see on the social media going out to collect voter PVCs now. Maybe this will be a testing ground for those of them that already have the PVC to show how they can be politically active in the process.
Yeah, but looking at the actors, let's look at the actors, because they also constitute or define, how the conduct of the election will be. Mr. Ezenwa was talking about the peace accord, that was signed by political parties. But we're beginning to see also statements overheating the polity in Osun from both sides, to those who are, making reference to the political parties as mushroom political parties and all of that. And then we've also had, one of the candidates also talking about how he's intending to deploy resources, currencies, not even for, local currencies, even foreign currencies to buy the conscience of the. So we're beginning to see, the actors, how do you see them aligning to this trajectory or the vision of INEC of having a peaceful and a credible exercise?
Not for statements. Statements are political statements are normal, and when it's come to election time, of course, emotion will go high. Then you expect some statement that in an ordinary situation, because you call some political parties mushroom. Me, personally, I don't see that as anything that are hitting the polity. But with regard to
You're saying that they will labor to death, for instance, isn't that?
What's bad about praying for an opponent to continue laboring to death without succeeding in politics? You know, this is the way I see it. But with regards to the issue of deploying resources, money, I have not seen the statement actually. So, but if a candidate said that, it's quite unfortunate, and INEC should be able to look at it, and maybe the police, because this is one of the reasons why that people are always agitating for you need to break INEC. You should allow INEC to concentrate on the election, the management of the election, then have another body that will manage the political party activities. Then you have the offenses, this kind of offenses that you now give another body. But now the work is actually too much for INEC. It manages supervises the political parties.
Then post-election.
Yes, and unfortunately, it doesn't have the prosecutory power. You know, because once now any of the election or electoral offenses, it has to rely on the police and to prosecute.
We're beginning to see the police also taking up the challenge. The IG has talked about perhaps monitoring and ensuring that those involved in such activities are actually tamed and what have you. Let's go back to Dr. Ezenwa. The Ezenwa Wogo, you're back, you know. Sorry for that, distortion in the audio. Yes, before, that, I was actually asking you this question. The fact that you are on ground. And then we talk about two critical challenges that were witnessed in Ekiti, talking about, voter inducement and, of course, voter apathy as well. Looking at the number of registered voters and those that turn out, during the election, it was a concern by INEC and other stakeholders. With the level of enthusiasm in Osun, how do you gauge the mood of the electorate? Are they really interested in coming out, or just perhaps also we're going to see the same scenario play out?
Well, I hope it will be a different scenario. I hope that the interest all of us have started showing around the issue of voter inducement, especially vote buying, will begin to draw attention of duty bearers, especially the security agents, to supervise this vote buying. If they begin to think crime, if they begin to even the winner of the election, if they understand that it devalues the citizen who is involved in this trading, maybe there could be a rethink. But what I get, the sense that I get from politicians, and also talking with a few of the people that I've talked to, is that they don't understand that voter inducement is a crime in the Electoral Act and also in the Constitution. So we'll continue to push. We hope that we don't have a play of equity. But in terms of voter turnout, all the societies and religious groups, the traditional rulers, are asking the people of Osun to come vote. On Saturday, we will not be able to know, but there are about 76% voter PVC collection already has happened.
Which
but
is
as we know, in the past, the collection rate does not by itself mean, Osun we had 36.5 voter turnout for also almost 76% PVC collection.
Okay.
So I think all of us have a responsibility to continue to ensure that we persuade our people that if you don't come out, you have voted, not because at the end of the day, you suffer the consequences of those who voted, whether they voted right or they voted wrongly. You can't of yourself. So for us now is to continue to make this deal that it's not enough to go and collect PVC. We know the reasons many people collect PVC. Some say it's for ID card purposes. Others say the amenities that come to the community are something.
Election management, especially in the aspect of security. The police is deploying 21,000 personnel. This is, exclusive of other agencies like the civil defense and others. And then there's also concern around, too much militarization, if you like, of our electoral process. This is the civic responsibility. Is there any concern, any cause to worry about the deployment?
Well, I don't share. I have militarization. What I think that what many times it will be about whether it is adequate or not adequate, and then the question would then be what will be adequate. But I think what we pay more attention to is value for money, and we are not doing that at all. 7,000 policemen were deployed for Ekiti elections. The police one arrest of those who are involved in vote trading and vote buying. Yes, they will tell you that vote buying is not done in public. They have challenged. And begin to demand value for money. You have the police are deployed into it to ensure that and so if they supervise and watch people diminish the value of elections, reduce the integrity of elections through time inducement, then we should be how much is costing us to 1,000, and we are not seeing clear results in terms of those who've arrested brought to book. So if you don't deploy, if there's any challenge, citizens will begin to say, oh, they did not deploy enough security agents. So sometimes also that 21,000 can inspire confident voters that they are protected, that they are secured. It can make them come out. So it's not as straightforward as that. But it's important that we ask.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll get back to you, Mr. Ezenwa. But then back in the studio, Barrister Sanusi, let's look at other issues now. The deadline for the submission of names of candidates and their running mates is elapsing. And of course, some of the major political parties have already, arrived at their running mates. The PDP has settled that long ago. The APC just did that, a few days ago. The LP has also done that. We're yet to see perhaps the NMPP and some other political parties like the SDP. I'm not too sure if they have, selected their running mates and so on. But there has been a lot of concerns with regards to how these parties arrive at their running mates. As for the PDP, they say, yes, it is able to balance the ticket. Presidency goes to the south, the vice presidency to the north, and vice versa. Again, in the APC, we have similar arrangement. But the major concern is the same fate ticket, which has been generating a lot of furore, around the polity. Let me get your perspective. What's your assessment of the metrics used by the political parties to arrive at this, especially the one that has been generating controversy?
You see, this is a problem. Politicians are always semi-honest when it comes to issues. They just want to twist things the way it's suit them.
Okay.
One, ideally, I said it, I think, here some times ago, there is no reason for, if the politicians, all of us, if the elites, really, there is consensus that what matters to us is the development of this country, peaceful coexistence of this country. There is no way a party like PDP could decide to choose a presidential candidate from the north. Because
because of their gentleman agreement, the zoning?
No, yes.
But it isn't constitutional.
If it is not constitutional, then is it constitutional that you must have a Muslim Christian?
So either way, the two parties
exactly.
He
who comes to equity must come with clean hands. You can't just this holier than thou attitude. Somebody who a drug addict says that he's not doing any, or somebody who takes Indian hemp think he's not doing anything wrong, is somebody that takes tramadol that is doing the bad thing. Do you get the point?
Yeah, but it's not the opposition party that is complaining. A section of the country, a significant number of the citizens felt that they've been marginalized.
Look, it's natural they will say that, because look, the issue was whatever choice, for instance, the APC decided to make in the process of choosing its vice presidential candidate, it will end up losing some votes. Then the decision is which votes is APC ready to lose.
So it's a game of it's a matter of give and take now. They have to look at the options and
yes, this just the same way the PDP thought that because of the numerical strength of the voters from the north, it would be better for them. Yes, let them take a northerner as a candidate, so that if APC goes to the south, now the northern voters will now come together and give their support to another northerner. That is the only reason. That's the only reason. So now you don't expect APC already with that now to mortgage its chances of getting more votes from the north. So if you look at the two parties generally, none of them can't say that in the process that he did what is right to some extent. If you are talking of equity, the PDP cannot come to accuse, or any supporter of PDP cannot come and accuse APC
of going with
of doing something that, when the same PDP decided to field another northerner while another northerner is finishing, it doesn't. These are things that you have to look at.
Let's bring in Mr. Ezenwa, even though I'm sure is so much concerned about or engaged with the Osun Governorship election. But then, as a critical stakeholder in the polity, civil society organizations are also monitoring the situation and also looking at the building, to the election. Let me get your perspective or your take on this issue that has been generating reactions. The same faith ticket, that's the Muslim ticket of the APC. Is it something outside, what is expected, or outside the norms in politics? Mr. Ezenwa.
Well, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
If you can hear me, it says for us, for
Mr. Ezenwa. Mr. Ezenwa, you're making a point. Okay, I'm afraid we lost that audio. Well, okay. Yeah, still discussing this matter. Yeah. We'll get Ezenwa to respond to that. But we're beginning to see a ripple effect, or a fallout of that decision, especially of the APC, even before the election. A number of people, chieftains of the party, are leaving. quitting the party, in protest. There is also a segment of the party, that says it has withdrawn its support, for the APC, talking about the Christian members of the party, from the northern part of the country or so. Yeah. So.
I doubt.
There was a group, that was said to have withdrawn its support.
You see, some people just, there are issues that people, when people are self-conceited, they tend to now begin to have this exaggerated opinion about who they are. With all respect, look, it's for me, for any politician to come out to talk about that because you are doing Muslim is politicians, they just have their way of trying to draw attention to. But for ordinary Nigerians, they have every right. They have every right to show their anger, but then it's the party and the candidate have made their choice.
But if it is done in the interest of the people and they want to carry everyone along, isn't it too late for them to
No. I think that's what I'm saying. If you think this choice is not something that you then need to, unless you are trying to just attract attention to yourself, you don't need to say anything. I mean, the February 25th will come. Go and show your displeasure there.
Yeah, even though these are party chieftains, we'll come back to the individual responses then.
Yeah.
But I understand Mr. Ezenwa Mogu is back. Mr. Ezenwa, you've had a question very clearly, but you're making a point earlier. Let me get your perspective.
Processes and internal party issues of political parties. What their process? For instance, if they meet the deadlines, they are able to conduct primaries according to the electoral, in keeping with democratic practice. I am not a member of any political party.
That's right.
Business of getting worried will be those who are members of that political party who may other partisans who may become interested. If I'm going to vote in February, I could then decide what I think is important to me. But having said that, I think it's important that we continue to let it be clear to Nigerians that we need to change the narrative. The 2023 election must be an election that is centered around the people. The candidates may come from the moon, they may worship in shrines or stones or whatever they like. At the end of the day, communities must have a charter of demand. We must have civic groups and organizations deciding the narrative in 2023. We need to be talking about how many hospitals will be, built for the majority for who can access medicine. We need to be talking about how we can bring our tertiary education to become to rank among the best in the world. Security. We need to talk about infrastructure of those things that are diminishing us now as a people. So if we allow the politicians to continue to direct our for us what we don't think, then we are just going to go back to the same issue that we continue to battle with. That for me is my take on that. I think that Nigerian Medical Association should have its own town hall. I think that Society of Engineers, I think that the Nigerian Union of Journalists, I am thinking that NUT, Nigerian Labour Congress, come to that point where we are the ones directing the conversation in 2023. I want a 2023 in which the people are this, very atavistic conversation that we're having, and we will continue to push this. And by that, we will not now be able to track anything. We are in 2023. What we are going to be tracking is it whether you are a Christian or you're a Muslim. That's not what we are going to track. We are going to track candidates speak to the generality of Nigerian people, and I think that will be what will be important for us.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Ezenwa Nwogu, for your perspective. The need to change the narrative, the need to take ownership of the direction of how the conversation should be, not around identity politics or religious politics, but about competence and capacity to deliver on the goods, deliver the goods to ordinary Nigerians. We'll take a break on that note. When we return, we'll continue with the conversation. In case you're just joining us, the program is Daily Politics, and we're looking at several issues in the polity, issues around Osun Governorship election, the deadline for the submission of candidates and their running mates, and of course, same-pay ticket that has been generating controversies. And I've been interfacing with Ezenwa Nwogu, who is a board member of Yaga Africa, and Barrister Sanusi Musa, a political commentator. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
Thank you very much for staying with us. It's still Daily Politics, and we're looking at some issues in the polity. Osun Governorship election, the deadline for submission of candidates to INEC, the same fee ticket, and other issues in the polity. Just before the break, Barrister Sanusi, Mr. Ezenwa was making a very fundamental point. Perhaps because it's coming from the civil society background, they look at issues, not just trivial issues and what have you. The conversation he thought that the conversation around our polity today, especially as we head towards 2023 election, should be on issues. It should be issue-based and not just about, narrow, myopic or regional, ethnic or religious sentiments. How are you looking at that, and how can we drive the conversation, or redirect the conversation along this line?
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate, those that are supposed to take the center stage about this conversation have, this system of corruption that has eaten deep into the system. Because at least for now, you expect that the student unions, the
civil society,
the
labor
teachers,
movement,
the labor movement, each segment of the society should be concerned about how the election is going to. But unfortunately, you are having people that are heading those organizations that are already partisan. Partisans in the sense that they don't have honor, because nobody say you cannot be partisan, but there are things that if you are a student leader or if you are a union leader, you should know that no matter how you like somebody, there are principles upon which that the organization head stands. So you must put them forward, and should be what your focus should be on, no matter how your sentiment about a particular person. But Unfortunately, the unions are not built on that. This is why you can see that instead of them to be the one dictating the narratives, they are not. But we have allowed the issue of either it is the northern or Muslim that is running the election. You know, even the faith organization have, I mean,
also taking a partisan line.
yes, and even what is really
but isn't that
actually important
expected?
for them. You see, once faith organization decide to descend into the arena, you know, they have lost that moral gravity they have that attracts people to them. As much, and what is leadership if leaders will be talking like the ordinary people?
So is it a distraction now, you know, from the real issues?
Unfortunately,
and who is benefiting from it?
Because if we are to, when you go to pay for your bills, nobody asks whether you are a Christian or a Muslim. If the kidnappers decide to kidnap, they don't discriminate who is a Muslim, who is a Christian. You know, unfortunately, but we have just forgotten about all these issues. Like somebody was saying, Mr. Rufai, if you go to the airport today, do you care whether the pilot is a Muslim or a Christian or a traditional religion follower? You don't really.
Yeah,
what matters to you is whether he's competent enough to take you to a destination.
But the proponents of this balancing, you know, are also interested in what they call justice, you know, and fair play.
And
then inclusivity.
It's very important.
Yes,
it's
in
very
governance.
important. You can't really, you can't really in a diverse country like Nigeria take that away. But like I keep on saying, you know, there are things that if you give them a deeper thought, then you now understand why some choices
have to be made.
Yes, are being made the way they are. But then, of course, it is expected now the APC needs to do some realignment to see how those things will be taken care of. Of course, and these are not the only position. You are going to have the president of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, you know, so many things where those religious balances will have to be taken into consideration. But by and large, I think, in as much as it is important, and also it is within the right of those that feel they are being cheated to talk, we should not allow this to dictate what type of leadership we are going to have in 2023.
Yeah. But still talking about competence, you know, even though some will say the distraction, you know, if anything like that, benefits even the candidates, some of them, because some of them are interested in this distraction so that they stay away from the issues, which Nigerians should be able to engage. Because basically, at this point in time, Nigerians should be engaging them on the issues and how they intend to address them. But then they you know, each time they throw up something that will create controversy, people, you know, tend to move towards that and forget about real issues.
Because some of them may not like what they have done in the past to be exhumed, you know, to show the type of people they are or what they really claim to be now, you know. So it is better if these people are distracted on this line of ethnic and religious lines, so that they will continue to show that maybe they are the liberal or they are this. Then when they get there and people in the next fold, they will now start, where did you get? But you got there because you refuse to think and see that you make the better choice for yourself.
Right. Okay, I understand Mr. Ezenwa is back. Okay, so we intend to, connect with Ezenwa any moment from now. I understand, working on the audio aspect of it. But then, talking about competence and looking at the choices before Nigerians at the moment, what do you think should occupy, you know, perhaps the minds of Nigerians in terms of engaging with this candidates who are now seeking the mandates of the people? Some talked about, even their capacity to change the governance narrative. A number of them have been in the scene, political scene for years. And some say they haven't added any much value. So why now? And what can they do differently now that they are, aspiring to lead the country?
You see, actually, it's unfortunate that the military has led us to where we are today. Because you see that most of the expectation on the federal government are things, or the blame on the federal government are things that we should be asking our state governors and the local government. Like now, I think in the north we have about 18 million out of school children. Okay, now the purely issue of basic education is that of the local government and the states. Okay.
It's a joint, it's in the concurrent.
Yes, what are they doing? Despite the fact that through UBEC, the federal government is assisting. So if really we will be able to sit and critically look at even the constitution and see what are really the issues that the federal government will have to look at. What are those things that the local government should do? What are those things that the state should do? Start compartmentalizing those issues and holding people responsible at those stages where they are. We should be able to change some of the narrative, because I thought that, okay, by now, yes, we have a security challenge. Okay, if we have security challenge, can we say that actually that only the federal government will be able to handle it? Okay, if it is going to handle it, how much do we need as a finance to finance that? Do you have that? Do we need state police? What type of police? Because what we have now already, we have a police system that has been destroyed systematically by the military over the years. Now it's the military that is doing what they're supposed to do.
Is it destroyed or outshined by the military?
It was systematically destroyed that we have what we have now. Okay, because these are the issues. If we are talking of education, what type of education do we foresee in the next
how do we intend to approach it?
How do I intend to approach it? Our health care. What is the maternal mortality rate? These are issues that we have to look. What is our target? I have seen your newspaper report to the issue of the population upside.
That's right. And how it has to be contended.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And with nobody even cares. The people we have as policymakers at the local government level, in some states, they don't even understand the implication of that. So this is why you are just electing people. I mean, they don't even understand the policies they ought to make for us to get out of the problem.
Yeah, but some would say even the politicians are not helping matters. Very few of them. I think just one of the candidates perhaps has thrown up his policy document or his blueprint, on how he intends to address issues of governance when he comes on board. Then a number of them are yet to even come up with their blueprints. Some would say Nigerians are having nothing to engage them with, perhaps, apart from what they've been saying in terms of the normal rhetorics and what have you. So when do we begin to, hold them responsible for that, and then getting them to throw up this policy document so that Nigerians can dissect them, digest them, and then engage them on them?
You see, this is what Mr. Ezonwa is saying. We sometimes it is like if we have an effective civil society groups, so in terms of the unions, they are the ones that should be able to even be questioning.
Demand for that.
Yes. What do you have? What do you want to achieve? And after all, the political parties are there. They have their policies. When you come, you are expected to follow that policy. But then if we continue to think that it is only the president that will change, we don't care who becomes a member of the House of Representatives. We don't care who becomes our senator. We don't care who becomes members of the State Assembly. All what we are after is for us to have a governor or to have a... Of course, that is why at the end of the day, you see the governors and maybe the president becoming whatever a monster would. Because, look, the people that are supposed to check him, naturally, it is non-human nature. Everybody would like to have power and would like to appropriate that power to the maximum.
Yeah.
Those
They say
checks
after power corrupt, absolutely.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. Barrister Sanusi Musa, political commentator. I think it's about time we draw a curtain on the program. We've been interfacing with Ezenwa Nwagu, who is a board member of Yaga Africa, and Barrister Sanusi Musa, a political commentator. Together, we'll be looking at some critical issues in the polity, and of course, providing some perspectives and recommendations on how best we can approach them as we head towards 2023 election. Once again, thank you for coming on the show. We really also appreciate Ezenwa Nwagu, who joined us all the way from Osun to give us his perspective Skype. We understand the connection has been lost, but then he has made a lot of points with regards to how we can better the democratic process. On their behalf and the technical crew, this is where we come to the end of Daily Politics today. Do join us tomorrow. We will be back with another topic and personalities. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day.